This conference will now be recorded.
We're closed. There we go.
I'll call the meeting of the General Services Committee to order. It is 4:30 and it is December the 28th. And welcome to everybody that's in attendance and anybody that's on virtual, like Rita Kaindorhofer. So we'll start with roll call
Chairman Oropesa,
here.
Vice Chair Moore, Council Member Halverson. Here. Council Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Awesome. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, and we'll start with the approval of the agenda. If I can have a motion to approve the agenda, and you can throw in the minutes if you want to as well.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda for today, December 28th, and then approve the minutes from October 26th.
A motion by Councilor Halverson, second.
Yes.
Second by Councilor Sanchez. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. And we'll go to action item number 2, consider approval of the Roswell Recreation and Aquatic Center budget adjustments to be sent to Finance Committee for approval. And who's going to take that one? Okay.
Yes, sir. That's me. You're going to vote on those in a regular city council? Do what, I'm sorry? I thought we voted on these in a regular city council.
The budget adjustment?
Oh, not the budget. Okay, I'm thinking fees.
You're thinking
Oh, yeah.
fees.
You're thinking,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, you ready for me to begin?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. All right, so if you'll see on your abstract, and I've repeated it up here, is I am asking for a budget adjustment in 3 line items. And here are the justifications that I'd like to present to you today. Okay? So what we've got, the first one is contracts janitorial. In March, I submitted for approval in the budget process that I needed $116,000. In July, it was approved. And this is for the entire complex. We combined, as I stated up there, we combined the pool and the rec center side, which you'll hear me refer to it as the wet side and the dry side. So we combined those to get a whole new janitorial company because they were supposed to be better than what we had. And so we had to ask for a small increase. So that was approved. And the reason we combined them is because this new company said, we can't build separate areas. We're going to have to build the whole complex. Said, fine, put all the money together and that will be fine. Well, I had it in July and then in August, it was reduced by finance to $28,000. And then we were instructed to ask for more money in January. I'm not, and I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure how that exactly transpired. I know they had to get to a zero budget. It's all a bunch of the information, and I have looked back, we're in those meetings that council that you guys had, the special meetings during budget, and this was the place to take it from finance. So I'm now coming back and asking you for $53,000. I was able to transfer $18,000 from other line items into it, but can that move that little?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So as you see, I've expended all of it but $1,200. So to get through the remainder of the fiscal year, I need to ask for $53,000 more. I can't find it anywhere else in my budget due to the fact that the Ceresco air handling system on the pool side needs a fix. And we have held off on that. And I think I'm going to try to use any kind of leftover money. It's a $30,000 repair that is needed. We're having to manually do a bunch of stuff. That is a very sensitive system. It's a great system when it's working. And it's called Ceresco. And it's a great system, but I think with some of the savings I can find here, there, and everywhere, I can put it towards that fix. And so that is why I'm asking for this amount for the janitorial. Okay, and then the next one, I need $99,000 for outside temporary labor. So this is that good news, bad news. Okay, so when you hired me, I was told program. So we started doing that. Well, the bad news part is the expenses, we didn't know how successful it was going to be, and we doubled our programming. And so with that comes a lot of cost for temporary labor. And when I say that, that's a lot of the camps we doubled the camp, so that's double the staff right there. So when I was doing this budget back in March, actually February, I just had gotten here in November before that. And so I was trying to look back and figure out what we were doing because we hadn't been open a full year. So in this, I asked for 131,000 because pre-COVID, that was the programming they had. And that's what they needed. And so we figured out that was 131,000. Well, the adult center needed 25,000, and that's a lot for their instructors to come in and teach all the classes that we started programming. And with that, and some of that is coverage if we don't for part-time coverage as well. It's very little of it is part-time coverage. So right away, out of that 131,000, I had to transfer 25 over to the adult center because they had nothing. We asked for it, and I don't know what happened. It got dropped. I'm not sure, but it was in my original request, and then it just was not there when it was approved. So I did ask, we quickly transferred that over, and then you'll see I had a staff member resign, and we elected not to fill her position, so that I could use some of that money back for the temp labor. So there I go, and I transfer some money back from full-time into temporary time. So my ask that I need to get us through, and mind you, I mean, we're about to come up, it does include June, which is a high temporary staff month. We just opened up the pools, we just have concession open, and we double the staff at that time, plus the camps. So I'm asking for the 99,000. If I were to convert them from ITS Quest, and you see up there, their billing rate is now 47% off of the hourly rate. If I could convert them, then I could save an additional 31,000. So I'm in the process of asking if I can do that. So right now I have to ask for the whole amount. But by the time this maybe get to finance or beyond, it could be even lower to that 68,000 is all I need to get through.
Who has to clear that?
Mike. So
That's the reason that on is seeking approval from this committee to send it to finance.
Mhm.
But, you know, I have some concerns on the first issue that you brought up was that equipment or was that just cleaning services or?
That's just the cleaning service. The equipment is a very small portion of that. But that was just the services they gave. They did not touch my janitorial supply line. It was just the contract service itself. So they have a line item and then we order the cleaning supplies from this different line item.
I think everybody knows by now. I'm not a contract proponent to contract out services. And to me, it seems like we have people within that can do the services. It's at one time we had them and they were spread out. And for whatever reason, it seems like every department gets their own cleaning contractor.
Well, we went off of, because I sat through it, we selected, it went through the RFP process. And there are 2 or 3 that you can pick from. And they were vetted out and it went through that whole process of who we could use. And we had picked one company and there is another one within that RFP that we could pick from as well.
No, what I'm saying is within city staff, not contractors.
And that's something for y'all to, I mean,
Yeah.
that's right at budget. Because honestly, when I got here, it was already in place.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
I don't
know.
know, you got it. I don't know if that's even an ask or can you do that or that kind of stuff.
But it brings me to the point where you just made the point that if you were able to convert what is that?
ITS Quest.
ITS Quest?
ITS Quest,
Yes, sir.
you would save like, what was it,
That's for the temporary leave for referees and.
But that's, my point is that if you have them in-house,
Correct.
instead of contracting out,
You better
you're
believe.
paying more.
I totally agree. You better believe it. And that's why,
So,
do you, and I did, I'm sorry.
no,
No, let her go ahead and finish it.
Okay, we got to do that with the guards. And because we did get to do that, this year I only got to save 50,000, but it will save 100 grand each year doing that with the guards. So I did get to do it with the guards and just waiting for the approval to do it with this staff now.
Okay,
because
go ahead.
like you said, if you hired 2 janitors, you'd save how much? Again, you saved 100,000 with the guards. You could save, I don't know, an umpteen amount.
On
Hired
the,
2 janitors.
on the contracts janitorial, yes, I have not priced, I don't know what they start out at, to be honest with you, but I would think there would be a savings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great questions and something to look at during the budget process.
And I think what's January the 1st or 2nd, the hourly wage is going up to $12
Right.
or a little over 12,
Yes,
whatever
that's
it is.
Mhm.
So, I have never been a proponent of contracting out. I always thought that if you have somebody that has a vested interest in-house, to me, I think it will work better.
I totally, agree.
But that's just my own personal opinion.
I can see where you're coming from on that. Yes, sir. Okay.
And
Do you want me to
go ahead and continue.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I am asking for 25,000. Now, this is if we quickly run through this, okay? So in March, I requested 40,000. And what I've done is we
400.
hadn't had, 400,000, did I say 40? I'm sorry, 400,000. Okay. So I based this, I started looking on what we had done in the past. I did not realize in May that ITS Quest had $88,000 worth of unpaid invoices. So when I did my budget, I was basing it on erroneous numbers and just asked for 388. When, if you see, it cost us $476,000 to guard that full year amount. That's with ITS Quest. Okay, so right away, I knew I was going to be short 89,000. This is when I started asking, let's transfer them over. Let's transfer them over. It took me asking and myself and Juanita asking, and we could not do this until December. And so there's where I'm saying that the savings was cut to 50,000. And so it left us 39 short. Well, we had a vacant aquatic specialist position, which is a full-time. And with us doing that and being able to hire that now, that person can lifeguard as well. So it took the shortage even down to just 25,000 is what we need. Then this will get us done all the way through. And then I will ask for the correct amount in the upcoming budget, which will take us back to, it's a little bit less than that 388 for the whole year because we have that specialist that can also guard. So I think it came down to like 345,000 is what I'll be asking for every year for part-time lifeguards. All right, so my recommendation is to bring this forward to Finance Committee and City Council to adjust and increase operation budgets. Because I know we're about to come up on the mid-year adjustments. And so I wanted you guys to see this first. And this is what I'm going to be asking.
Okay. Any questions from committee?
I do on the activity slide, the 99,000. Do you, when you charge for the camps and everything,
Yeah.
do you recover any of the costs?
Yes, ma'am.
This is
So,
still even with recovering those costs.
yes, I have the potential, and I put that up there. The offsetting revenue potential is projected at 58,000. Because what we figured, 58,000, 58%, I'm so sorry. What we figured out is 58% of our cost are labor. The rest is going to be supplies.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where I went. I knew I could offset the labor part by at least the 58%. So I do have it coming in. The only thing, and Juanita and I are still, the only thing we're not sure of is have they already used that revenue projection to cover the whole thing? Or am I allowed to, when I'm bringing in, can I use that to offset it right away? That's the one thing I'm not 100% sure about.
I think that's a question for finance.
Finance,
Yeah.
right? And so I think there is some confusion a little bit in finance about, was it used to get to the zero already? Or when I grow these programs, can I not use that to automatically offset
put it
it? And I
back in.
don't have to
Yeah.
come back all the time, and I can let everything grow with the offsetting revenue. And I
That
will,
makes sense to me.
and that's a good question, because I will tell you, my philosophy, and I think y'all know I've been doing this a long time, over 25 years. My philosophy is if you're going to run a program, it should pay for itself, okay? And when I say that the camp should pay for themselves, I'm still going to have that building if I do not run that camp, right? So anything we do auxiliary to that building in programming, it should be able to pay for itself. And it should be able to pay 100%. We have got formulas, we've got a spreadsheet for staff to go, look, I need to, how to price it, how to make it that you know you need a minimum of like 10 people in order to do it. Anything that you do, then we can start reducing how much it will charge for future.
Yeah.
You know, if we can recoup our cost and then some. And then you can do it. And then we will always have the free activities that we do. But that's like the free swims. We're going to have that day anywhere. We're going to have the staff there as well. So, you know, that's given back to the community. And I think those are very important.
Yeah.
But I think if we're doing anything that's outside of what that rec center, outside of you coming in and doing your open gyms, your open swims and stuff like that, I think it should be that if you decide you want to go to that, then there is a cost involved for the experience and for the.
Well, I've seen your program on Facebook. They look really fun. So
Thank you, ma'am. Okay,
Anything else?
no, sir. Do you have any questions?
Anything from committee members? Yeah. Anything?
make a motion. Make a motion.
Let me ask anybody that's on the, on virtual if they have any comments or. And I think it was only Rita. Hi, Rita.
This is Rita Kane Dorhofer, and I'm just wondering, are the public programs, are they full? And are you going to have to increase the fees to the public?
We don't really want to ever increase fees if we've established a program. Is that what you're asking? No, not all the programs are filling up. And so if they do not do the minimum in order to pay for themselves, we do have to cancel. We're only going to, we would not come back and up the fee ever to make up for it, because we feel like we set the fees at the value of the program. Does that answer that, Rita?
So that means, Colette, that you're not going to increase the fees?
What do you talk for? Do you have a specific example? Are you talking about the fees to get into the rec center? Or are you?
To get into the rec center, the fees for all the programs that you are providing the public?
Okay, we adjusted the fees and we came down on some of them, and that's the one that we presented to council, I believe, in September, October, those timeframe.
January 1.
Those were approved, that adjusted the fees so that when you came into the rec center, your membership fees got you into both sides of the rec center, and it would get you into the adult center as well.
I think every program's a different cost.
Programs will cost different to what, it's kind of, we're just trying to make it a value and affordable for as many as that we can and cover the cost to it.
Okay, and one more question. That answered my question. What about the low socioeconomic base that we have here in Roswell? Do you have any programs that fit their needs, or do you give any scholarships out or anything to reduce the cost? Let's say one mother has 4 kids.
Yeah,
and
we
they
do,
all
yes. Okay, so that's kind of twofold. We do have an excellent price for our family memberships. That after like the I think third member of the family, it starts to, the rest of them are pretty much essentially coming in under that one price. And it's priced really good for a family. Now, on the programs for low socioeconomic, we are in partner, I don't know if it's partnership, or we also subsidize the Boys and Girls Club to hold a lot of that type of programming for us. But we do offer, we always make sure, like in the summer, we offer our free days. And we've extended that over. We've offered the free days. You can come into the pool and you can go into the gym for free. And so essentially the whole complex is free on certain days. And we do that so many days out of the year. Does that answer?
Okay. That answered my question.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Rita.
I have another one based off that. Once you start creating programs, you start paying for themselves. I know you probably won't make a profit, but if you do, can you put some of that money aside for scholarships? Maybe something you want to think.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to seek out,
Money for, yeah,
give
just
money for scholarships. I'd like to, at some point, and that's on my radar for the upcoming year, is to try a financial aid type program. So maybe the program isn't free, but your membership could be, or if you qualify based on certain parameters.
Yeah.
And I don't know what those parameters are yet. And so that would be a great discussion for us to have. If
we got to
can
get to
start.
where they're paying for themselves first.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anybody from the public want to have any comments? And I guess if not, then we're ready for a motion.
I move that we consider approval of the Roswell Recreation and Aquatic Center budget adjustments to be sent to Finance Committee for approval.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilor Halverson, second
Yes.
by Councilor Sanchez. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carried unanimously. And we'll go to item number 3, consider approval of the Spring River Zoo fee structure.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Wright is on vacation, so I'm going to give his presentation for him. This is Resolution 22XX. This is kind of just a rundown of what discussions has transpired. On the 18th of October, they met to discuss free days and how many, when to have them, how to communicate. You can kind of see how many days do we currently have. We are the most generous in the country. They talked a little bit about offering more free days that will impact the membership numbers and revenue. When to have them, Saturdays are typically our highest attendance days. And free days on this day increases our loss of revenue. Councilor Repessa also at the time expressed concern that not all citizens could benefit from this program as it's only offered on Saturdays. There was discussion on flexibility or rotating days, adding days during the school break, offering tickets to citizens, utilizing, so lots of communication, right? How to communicate, that was to be determined after the above decisions have been determined how to best apply the communication method. He provided a little bit of background research on, he's surveyed 90 zoos and 10 free zoos, or 11%. Nationally, there are 24 free zoos out of 410. You can see that the ones that are highlighted in red, those are very similar to our zoos size. This is the in-state comparable of where we are with our current fee structure. So $5 for locals, $10 for out-of-town adults, $2.50 for children, $3.50 for out-of-town. Seniors are $3, under 3 are free. Military discount with an ID is $3. Members obviously are free. And then group church rate, families, and I think he also has field trips. You can see Biopark, Alameda, were pretty comparable to Carlsbad. He also did a national average based on an AZA zoo, a ZAA zoo, a non-affiliated, government non-affiliated. So we fall under the government line. The average right now is $4.91. So we're about 9 cents higher of where we should be. However, for a town of our size, we're actually under, which is the national average is $6.57. So he did put that Spring River Zoo is at $5 and 71% of an entertainment budget. And I think in this part, he was talking about how much would people actually pay to go be entertained at a movie or at a bowling alley or things like that. And so being at $5 was of good value for a community of our size. For a community of the 50,000 or greater, then it would be about $7.85. This is Exhibit A, and so this is the one that I really want y'all to look at. He did send an email to Counselor Halverson as he's requesting that it stays the same as what is presented. We currently have 13 free days for residents, 1 Saturday per month, plus the zoo birthday, which is in July. And then we have 65 free days for seniors a year. It was discussed at one of the previous committee meetings that we would add free days in the slow months, which would be December and January. So that would equal 62 more days with the potential of a total of 140 free zoo days per year. And right now we're currently at 13 and 65. In Exhibit A for the admissions of what he is requesting for the change is that the senior rate would go from $3 to $2 off of the regular admission fee category, $3 for residents or $8 for non-residents. And then for the group rate, it was just $3 residents only. Most of that, I think, is there when we do have groups that come in. He requested no changes for the adults and no changes for children. On this next one for memberships, he did recommend a change going from $50 to $30, so it's a decrease. And then the same thing for a dual pass, which would be 2, going from 65 to 60. For a family household of 8, going from 100 to 80. For seniors, going from 35 to 25, and then for military from 35 to 25. So each of these would show a decrease. And this is also a great option for those local non-Roswell residents that we get. The other thing that he talked about in this membership is that they would also get the opportunity to go to other zoos if they're part of a membership. So for example, if they wanted to go to the Albuquerque Biopark and they have a membership with us, we would work with Albuquerque Biopark and then they would get a discount to their zoo. They would also get discounted as part of the membership benefits. They get discounted admission to the special events that are put on by the Friends of the Zoo or any kind of enrichment events. There's also a membership brunch that we usually do in November to just show our appreciation for those people that are members of the zoo and donating to the zoo. Potential loss in revenue, really wasn't sure. It would just kind of depend on the tourist dollars and whether or not we felt the current rates and free days should remain the same. That was something that y'all had discussed. If the council would like to offer, more to residents, the recommendation was the 1 to 2 free months for residents during the slow months, which are January through December. At that time, it was 718 residential visitations and 632 non-residentials, approximately 2,700 loss in residential fees for that time frame. We've already seen an 8% total visitation increase over this time last year. So about a 30% increase from March of 21 through 8 of 21. We didn't charge in February of 2021. So we actually took our first full year from January to December of fees. This was the carousel train and then the carousel and train ultimate day pass. He did no fee change recommendation in this category. This next one was the rentals and party packages. He did have a change in this one. And the biggest change here was the add-ons for additional guests. A lot of parties, they're never the same type of party or the same amount of people. And so he wanted to really kind of have an option for an guest over 20 and then a maximum dollar amount that for any guest, if they, let's say they want to add 20 more people, then it's just $3. They get that group rate. The other change is that they really wanted to work with the patrons for their needs and only charge a minimum of 25% markup depending on the needs. They wanted to have that same flexibility that was given to recreation to determine that fee based on the needs of the client. And the same thing for guests over 40, that would include the room, the patio area with a maximum of 100 people. You can see here the big change on this one is the staffing. Obviously, if you have more people, you need to have additional staff there. And so it was just the rate to cover the cost of staffing, which really doesn't cover the full cost of staffing, but would somewhat cover some of the cost. The room rentals this past year for fiscal year 22 were $6,200, and we had 42 rentals at $150. Exhibit C was the after hours. So those parties were like kind of during our hours. This is after hour party package. The 40 guests would go from the 200 to 250. And then the other needs was, again, just working with that guest to, kind of meet their needs rather than just having it be very specific. And the other after hours party option 2 was, again, for the guests over 40, that would include the room and the patio area and those kind of things. Again, we would ask for the same type of grace that was given to recreation to ensure that we wouldn't mark it up over 25%. Exhibit C is the whole zoo rental. So we've had a couple of requests to rent the whole zoo, not just the party room, but the entire zoo. We didn't really have a fee for that. And so we would like them to call for some pricing anywhere between $300 or $500 plus the $3 per guest. What we did is we took the rates for the whole pool and that side and kind of used that comparison. And then, of course, a minimum of the 4 staff that we would need at the $20 an hour. And then utilities like electric. Sometimes there's a lot of additional electrical needs at the zoo. And so we wanted to make sure that we were covering that cost if we had to bring in a tree light or a generator or something like that. And then, of course, again, the same flexibility of working with that patron for their needs, but making sure that we didn't have more than a 25% markup. Here are the community comparables. This is kind of where he was looking at of other party rentals and other spaces within Roswell and what they charged. And so for our room, which hosts anywhere between 20 and 40 people, it would be $150. And you can see some of the other places were at 100, 400, 125, 225, 300, 155, 360, and 405. So in his thought process, we thought that was a very fair and equitable amount. The last one is the educational programming, and this is mostly for the school groups. No big change here other than the minimum number of people is $5. We wanted to make sure that we had a minimum of 10 people in the school groups. The other difference is that we offer a half a day camp. One of the things that had been asked is, can I just bring my kid for half a day? They don't want to bring a full day, and we didn't really have that. Or I'm sorry, for the 1 day camp, that's the one that we added, which was a $25 rate. The half day went down $5, and then the 1.5 day went up to the $15 private tour. We didn't really have that as an availability, but have had requests for it. And so we added those 2 options because we've had some people who have been interested. Animal encounters stayed the same. And then we have had requests to bring animal encounters offsite as part of our educational program. And so we added that cost, which would include the second session and mileage beyond Roswell. An offsite lesson in a program for that session, the 78, 75, max of 100 people plus the mileage beyond Roswell. And then, of course, the zoo to set fees with no fee increase more than 20% in a year for any new program that we would develop that is currently not on this fee structure. Here are the community comparables for those camps and those type of programs. So our 5 full days is at $85. Some other programs within the city, a half a day for 5 days or half days, 5 of them is $100. Imagine that. Camp Invention is $240. ENMUR Art Fest is at $100. A daycare average cost is $150 per week. Art Museum 1 day workshop is at $90. And then the rec center was at $45. So again, kind of a mid-range and pretty comparable to what they would be receiving. And we'll stand for any questions. So his recommendation is to approve as presented.
Questions from committee? Okay. Any questions from Rita? Rita, are you on?
Yes, I am. I don't have any questions. Thank you, Ron. I mean, Juan.
Okay. Thank you, Rita. Any questions from the public? Comments? And if not, I guess, you know what my vote's going to be, but I'll entertain a motion.
I guess not for the consent then, huh?
No.
I make a motion that we consider approval of Spring River Zoo structure for full council on our next council meeting
As presented.
as presented.
Okay.
Got a motion by Councilor Halverson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, you got a second by Councilor Sanchez. Any further discussion? And if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, aye. Motion carries.
Does it carry or does it fail?
It carries 2-1.
Okay.
Well, you can put fail if you want to.
Well, I thought if majority, it doesn't go, but that's why we have the clerks here. Thank you. Okay.
And we have, I don't have any comments from the chair, so anybody that wants to give a report.
Well, I'd like for Alex, for the recreation manager, and let him tell you about our first ever light up the night run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Pictures?
Freezing cold.
No pictures?
Pictures?
There was a lot.
Facebook.
They're on Facebook, yeah. There was a lot of pictures.
For you, because this is the November report, but I just kind of wanted to fill you in on that because it's not listed on here yet.
And we can't wait for next year. I might even do the rest.
We're gonna hold you to it.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so we did a night run out at Sail Ground Lake Pit, where we actually lit up the course. So as runners were running, they could see blow-ups, they could follow the trail. It was something that was different, and that was really the goal with it. How can we reinvigorate the community with runs? So we had about 25 do the run, all of them with positive feedback. So we expect that number to go up when we do it again next year. We should be at least 26 with Juanita running. But just some other things to point out from the report. We are in basketball season, so we just finished up our youngers, our 5 to 8-year-olds, and we had a little over 300 registered. And we're gearing up our 9 to 12-year-olds, and we had over 350 registered as of right now, and registration ends on Friday. So that's going strong.
Actually, Saturday.
Saturday,
yeah. Oh, wait,
the
one more
31st. Yeah, end of this week. And then our new fees are kicking off January 1st. And we have had a lot of people holding off on buying a membership till January 1st. So we expect our January revenue numbers to go up. So yeah, other than that, unless you guys have any other questions, we're rolling.
Are you charging for this new run?
Yes.
Yes, so we charge $29 per runner for it. And the feedback we got when asking about the price with those that participated was that they thought it was a fair price in comparison. What they got with the run was everyone got a medal, a finisher's medal, and then our top 3 runners and they got light up necklaces as well.
Yeah.
Kind of continue to light up the race. But then what our finishers got, our top 3 runners in the male and female ages or genders, they got plaques as well. But yeah, everyone walked away with something to remember the run at a $29 price point.
We asked them what we could do different. They didn't have any suggestions. They thought it was great. We ran that inside track at Seattle 3 times. If you wanted it to be timed for the, for the finish.
Yeah.
And they liked that because they said they knew exactly where they were going.
Is that 1 mile or is it half a mile?
1 mile.
1 mile.
Yeah.
Oh,
Inside is 1 mile, yeah.
So we started them in the middle of the competition fields to run out in order to get a full 5K, the 3.12 miles.
And then we lit up that trail.
That's really
With
cool.
lights. It was so
What'd you
cool.
use for lights?
It's these little bitty LEDs and we personally staked them to the ground for a full mile, it was 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
And they lit up so good.
Yeah, LEDs.
So good. And that was really cool. So you could tell exactly where the trail was. And that was nice.
Get anything on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't you from Los Lunas?
I'm not. I'm from California.
Okay, and I was thinking about somebody else.
Well, now.
Yeah, Roswell there.
Sing and
No.
now.
The reason that I asked that is because Albuquerque and those areas have those farolitos, things that they put out every year.
Luminarias?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then so if you use those, I mean,
Yeah.
during that season,
A mile of that would be.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
so
So I don't know if you know, you're leaving, right?
Mhm.
Sarah's leaving.
she's leaving.
She's moving.
I'm moving to Texas.
So you ask permission?
I did. This is what she did. She handed me it and I said, I don't want it. Yeah.
Her husband's in the police department.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're losing two instead of one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Next weekend.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yes.
Yesterday, yes.
how long were you here?
Yes.
Over a year, almost 2.
Almost 2 years?
Mm.
Well,
My husband's been with the police department for over 10 years.
hate to lose both of you, but you gotta do what you gotta do, so.
It was a really, really hard decision, but and very nervous about it. All of our families here, we're both from here, so it's gonna be.
And where are you going?
Melissa, Texas, which is outside of Dallas.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
So, and it's a smaller community, but it's outside of Dallas, so the schools are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
All the schools a lot of it was based on school for the kids, so,
That's good.
yeah.
Good. Anybody else wants to give the report, the ones that are left?
Do you have any questions for about the library?
I don't. I read the report.
I would be email.
If not, I guess it's me.
Public participation?
Huh?
Public participation?
We only have one person, as far as I know. Rita, are you still there?
I'm still here, Juan.
Do you care to make any comments under public participation?
Everybody should have a safe new year, and if you drink a little too much, I'm a designated driver, and y'all have my phone number.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, and I echo the same sentiments. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes.
Be safe. Be careful.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And if there's no further discussion, meeting is adjourned at 5:14 without any objection.
Yes.